Welcome into the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. I am Andrew Putters, and this podcast is brought to you by Rotoballer.com. Rotoballer.com is the best place to go for all your daily fantasy needs. When signing up, use the promo code NICE, get an extra 10% off the fee. And in 2021, we've upped their game a little bit. We're dropping content every day for showdown events, so you're never out of your DFS play if a couple guys didn't miss the cut. Now, normally, we are an exclusive fantasy-only podcast. However, this year we've been bringing on different guests, talking just about golf in general. And I've never been happier before to announce this next guest. Now, he was on the road, so there's a little bit of issues with his connection from time to time, and I'm sorry for that. It's just the way it is whenever you're on the road traveling for the PGA Tour. So without further ado, three-time PGA Tour champion, 2006 NCAA All-American, Scott Stallings. And this is the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast.
Of all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days, the game of clubs and tees, it never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that I'd give it one good try. But that was my first big mistake.
Welcome into the Turn, and it is my pleasure to bring on a three-time PGA Tour champion and also 2006 Collegiate Golf All-American, Scott Stallings. And from the looks of things, Scott is on the road. Where are you headed? I know you've been training. I can see on social media. Where are you headed?
I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm on I-10 literally for about the next 3 hours. So it's a super easy drive from Scottsdale to Palm Springs. We play the American Express next week, and here we are, man. So we're making the most of it, and I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man, I appreciate you coming on. This actually brings me to my first question I was going to ask anyway. So you moved back to Knoxville here a little while back, and starting a home here back in your hometown area. So now your kids are starting school. So what's traveling looking like now for Scott Stallings on the road? And has it changed at all since you moved back?
Well, to be honest, last year was kind of the, I don't know if you're ever like concerned, but I mean, we definitely had a little bit of worry going into the, 2019, 2020 season. And that was going to be the first full year that my family didn't travel full time. And, we were living in one place, and we used to go back and forth between Scottsdale and Knoxville, and my kids were in school. They weren't going to travel during the school year, and then March happened, and I was home more than I've ever been in my career. So to be honest, I don't really know a whole lot of what that looks like. I started traveling again back in the end of May and June, and the kids and Jen kind of went with me a little bit, but we made the most of it, man. And it was a unique experience for everybody. And, traveling is unique in itself. The fact that my kids have basically grown up on the road, it's kind of a unique lifestyle to kind of raise a family in and out of hotels and Airbnbs and planes, trains, and automobiles, it sort of looks like. And, but now it's a little bit back into a normal schedule. Kids are back in school in Knoxville. I'm on the West Coast for the next 5 weeks. I know my wife will at least make a trip out. My kids have definitely gotten to a point where they realize that if my wife travels, they get to be with the grandparents. And so the grandparents kind of hold a little bit more, clout with my kids than traveling on the road with me. So we'll see what they end up deciding to do. But it's definitely an adjustment. But I had an unbelievable time with them when they kind of grew up on the road, being out there with me.
Yeah, so in that, it's definitely going to be bittersweet now when you get on the road, right? Because your kids with you every week, and like last year is kind of the start of that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, very much so. Honestly, my kids probably travel with me 90% of the time, and now they're sports and school and they're kind of everything. They've kind of gotten into a little bit of routine and friends, kind of being home, and the allure of traveling with dad is kind of like, all right, we've been there, done that. It's funny to hear a almost 8-year-old be like, well, that tournament just doesn't do like this and this and that. And it's like, he's trying to kind of cherry pick the events he wants to come to, and which is great. They're going to travel a decent bit throughout the summer, coming in May. And so it'll be great to have them back out. But it makes it special when they're out. But I do like coming back home through the door and kind of seeing their reaction when that's just not something I had a chance to do a lot when they were younger.
I got you. So, get a little perspective on background. Scott and I grew up in the same area, golf wise. Not necessarily the same towns, but suburbs of each other. And we have a lot of mutual friends even to this day. And we played in the same junior tournament events, but I was just a hair older than Scott. So, but what I'm taking away from your career is like, man, I just had a mutual friend of ours, Jason Gandy, on the show last week, and we talked about the depth of your class. So I go off to college, I come back after my freshman year, and there's like 12 or 13 of you guys that could like break par. So do you think that depth and of your class helped propel you to as far as competitive wise? Did that help raise the bar for you personally?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number. I mean, Gandy would probably know better than me and some of the other guys, but that 2003 high school graduating class, just in like the surrounding Knox County area, had, I want to say, 15 guys played Division I golf, and that could be plus or minus a few, but we all grew up. We all pushed each other. We all tried to figure out ways to get a chance to be better, and it's pretty cool to kind of see how we've all, even though we're all at different parts of life, and some guys still play, some guys don't. Still that common bond. Jason was just with me down in Florida last week. We went down and played practice, and he started to kind of help me from a little bit more of a player development side, just trying to make sure I do what I say I'm going to do. And, kind of built in a little bit of accountability as far as when I'm playing and practicing. But I mean, we grew up playing together since he moved here in middle school, and it's kind of cool to see how golf can kind of transcend age and, kind of stage of life, and, see how it can always, be something that will always be a common bond amongst no matter where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think golf is it's probably the best game to play because you can play it forever. Moving on, you went to Tennessee Tech, had a great career there in college. I kind of want you to go into that a little bit as far as how that career was, and also if you could, I wonder. I always thought about you guys. I'm gonna leave some people out, but you had people like Ryan and you and Polk and John Fox and Braxton, kind of all there. And did you ever kind of look back and say, man, what if we were kind of closer in age, what we could have done as a team?
Well, for sure. I mean, we talk about it a lot. We had a good run, but we just like, the development side of like, man, if I was a couple years older and kind of developed my game and progressed, like I just didn't have the playing experience of what that looked like as far as the team mentality. So, I mean, while I had some good rounds early in my career, I definitely, had the random, 80 round or, 76 when we needed a 72, or, where I just didn't have the discipline to, not go for it and kind of understand the value of par and kind of how it affected everyone on the team. But I was at Tennessee Tech. I graduated 2007. I was an All-American in 2006, and had honestly, it was the last place in the world I ever thought I was going to be. But it ended up being the best thing and the right thing for me. I had some great teammates, some great friends even to this day, and someplace, a part of my life where I look back and I'm super happy where it all ended up, and to see where it got me to where I am today.
Right. So being there at Tech with, like I said, that great cast of players that you had there, when did you kind of know? I'm not going to say when did you know maybe there was something different about me, but when did you know that maybe this is something I want to do for a living?
I don't know. There's some days now where I don't know. But Coach Nichols was he was, he's passed away years ago now, but I think that he would be the first to tell you that he was definitely harder on me than anybody else. And early I was super young, I was immature, and I took offense to it. Like I felt like he was picking on me all the time, and but now he was just pushing me to try to find truly what I was capable of, and if it was the tour, if it was chasing it for a few years or whatever, but just put myself in a situation where I could go out there and give it a shot. And I mean, he gave me more chewings over the course of my college career than I probably care to remember. But one of the ones was my freshman year. We had a Hall of Fame dinner, and I was being an idiot, not being respectful for the people that were being awarded or inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I mean, he cussed me in front of the entire athletic department, and he just told me, he said, if he used a few words that probably don't need to say, but just basically it's like, if you do what I think you're going to do, you're going to be up there one day. And that was kind of the realization of, all right, I need to. And I was bitter. I was dead set I was going to play golf in Tennessee. And kind of like the first semester there, I was always seeing what the Tennessee guys were shooting and where they were playing and what they were doing. And it was just constant comparison, which, it just kind of goes back to immaturity and everything. And he did a good job as far as rallying around me and just kind of showing me the opportunities that I had. And I needed to try to figure out a way to make the most of it and continue to push me in the right direction. And then I started working with Brad Rose kind of the second semester of my sophomore year. And from then on, man, it just was, we got after it. And I played great, had some awesome tournaments, and had a chance to do a lot of really cool things that no one in tech had ever done.
So, like you said, All-American your junior year, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All-American your junior year. After you graduate there, turn pro, try the mini tours out for about a year, go to Q school, barely miss your card, go and what we could call maybe an average year on the nationwide. Come back the next year, get your card, finish 11th at Q school, started off slow, then all of a sudden, boom, you win the Greenbrier Classic. Would you say it was kind of like you had to learn how to play with out there, course manager slide, or were you just kind of gunslinging at that point? Or what would you say the first 6
Who
months?
knows?
Yeah, exactly.
There would be a lot of different ways to say it, but I was actually playing with some guys in Scottsdale, and we had the course of it, 2 Champions Tour guys and 2 tour guys, and we all got to the tour 4 completely different ways. We got just old school Q school where it was 6 rounds. We had a guy basically no status play his way in the top 25. We had a guy full status nationwide tour play his way, and then my situation was like I had kept my card on the nationwide tour and basically he got a free run at Q school, which is like, if you're ever going to have to go, that was the best situation to ever be in, because then you could just freewheel it, because it was like top 25 or bust, because 26, it got me no better status than I already had. So Scott Brown told me on the 4th hole, and he's one of my best friends in the world, and definitely one of my best friends on tour. He told me on the 4th hole at the Panther course down in Orange County, he said, Bubba, if you don't get your card here, you're never getting it. And, just the course set up great for me and go. But, I mean, to kind of transition out of that and to go, a few weeks later, we're starting in Hawaii. And I missed my first cut in Hawaii by a shot. I drove it right behind a tree on number 9, the par 5. I pitched it out through the fairway into the rough. I couldn't hit it on the green. I pitched it short, chipped it up to like 5 feet, and I horseshoed it. And it was like, oh man. And then that just monkey on my back it turned into deadgum Godzilla by the time the West Coast was over. And the weight and the expectation of what it was like to be a PGA Tour player and kind of what that looked like. And man, the West Coast was definitely a kick in the teeth, and had some really good guys come around me. Josh Teeter he'd been on tour for a couple of years, was a good friend of mine. And Kenny Perry was basically like a father figure to me when I was on tour. And I mean, he was the same way like Coach Nichols. He gave me a few good talking to, just kind of in and out throughout my career, and some pivotal moments. Excuse me, my rookie year, like he was a very big part of that. And I missed every cut on the West Coast, go to play Puerto Rico, and Teeter had reached out. He's like, hey man, why don't you just stay with me? So we stayed together down there. And I remember I made my first cut, and we just started talking about it, and honestly, I couldn't even tell you what I finished in that tournament. Like just the fact that I kind of got over the hurdle playing 4 days in the week weekend and everything. And then transition into the next week. Kenny was sponsored by Transitions, which is Valspar now in Innisbrook. He helped me get a sponsor exemption. That's the only way I got into the tournament. That's it. He was great. I basically begged and pleaded and said I'll do anything I possibly can to play the tournament, because at the West Coast you're reshuffled, and I wasn't going to get to play any. And we always played a practice round Tuesday, and we were in the 6th hole, downhill dogleg right, and I hold it from the fairway with an 8-iron. And Kenny had it. That was it. He just absolutely had a fit. And we let guys play through. We just told the guys we were playing with, just, we were done playing with them. And Kenny just like, it's time for me to tell you what I think. And I will remember every word he said. There's probably some of those things like Coach Nichols' conversation that probably don't need to be repeated, but he told me where I needed to remove my head and put it back, and y'all can kind of figure out the rest. And he just like, I'm sick and tired of you playing good in these practice rounds and hitting all these great shots and going out and missing all these cuts. And, lo and behold, I had a chance to win the tournament on Sunday, and I finished 3rd. And, that was the same situation in college. I had someone believe in me more than I believed in myself, and put his arm around me when he didn't have to, and literally just kicked me right in between, just kicked me right in the butt, and kind of pushed me in the right direction to know that I had what it takes to play at the highest level.
Yeah, I remember watching that on TV. That's kind of the first time that us guys and all your friends growing up in Knoxville got to see you on TV, and that was pretty cool. I think it was down as Gary Woodland and Simpson, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we all played, and it was a great experience and something I look at. But that every time I get to the 6th fairway at Innisbrook, I always think about just literally just being yelled at like I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Just standing there, and I just felt myself just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, just like, man, this guy is just letting me have it.
That's a cool story. I don't think I've ever heard that before. That's pretty cool. 2012, you move on. You win the True South Classic. I remember watching that on TV. You had some young guys chasing and just showed them how it was supposed to be done. I felt like you were in total control in that in the 4th round. 14, you move on to the Farmers Insurance Open, win that over a slew of great players, and they come back in 15 and losing a playoff. And that's I feel like for whatever reason, from a viewer standpoint, when you watch Torrey Pines on TV, that's when golf starts. Does that make any sense? That's when like the whole everybody in the world kind of comes to this tournament, and you feel the same way about that as far as the field strength in that tournament? It's a big field every year, right?
Yeah, I mean, and this year, this is where the U.S. Open is, so everyone that's already exempt for the Open is going to play, and it's going to be weird without fans because you don't realize how much land is truly out there, because you get the grandstands and everything.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what it looks like, but the year that I won, I was told my wife, it's like, if I don't make the cut this year, I'm never coming back. And then I won, and then I got beat in the playoff the next year. So I went for like 6 months where I said that on every tournament. If I don't play good here, I'm never coming back. And it worked for a pretty good time. And then it just, then the wheels fell off.
Yeah. We went out there on vacation and stayed out in La Jolla. And that's why, I don't know if you can see this hat. That's what this hat is, Torrey Pines. And
it's awesome.
It was not what I expected from remembering what I see on TV. It's just a vast open cliff.
Yes, correct.
So that's what I was coming to. Obviously, you got to be looking forward to the possibility of playing the U.S. Open there this year, right? I mean,
absolutely. And I think that, if you're not in the Open, qualifying and kind of going through the process of that, like a tournament, like there's years I haven't tried to qualify just based on what the course is or, kind of whatever, because I'm one of the best players in the world, but I mean, it can be a detriment. The best stretch of golf I ever had in my career, I finished 4th at Memorial, 4th at Colonial, 4th at Memorial, 2nd in Memphis, and in the process I qualified for the Open, and we went to Marion, and I made the cut, finish, just call it 40th or whatever, but the week was so long with the weather and the rain delays, like it got me. And I mean, I was in nowhere near the shape that I was now, just to be able to handle that. And I think you see a lot of guys like, oh, why didn't you try to qualify for this, or why didn't you do that? It's like, I'm going to focus on the tournaments I know that I'm in, and I can go and compete, and kind of make a schedule instead of just throwing a whole wrinkle into my what I'm doing. Because as soon as you qualify, whether you're doing your best to try to focus on the tournament that you're playing, but you're the last man in the field. You're trying to make travel plans and where you're going to stay and what you're going to do, and you're just making last minute plans for one of the biggest events in the world, and it's not always easy as it sounds.
Right. So talking about back to Torrey, people ask me all the time, does course history matter? And I want to have a two-part question here with this. Is that number one, I feel like it does, so I'm not even going to ask you that. But what is not necessarily fits your game the best, but like what kind of fits your eye? Like, give me like 5 courses that when you show up and you pull in the parking lot, you're like, this course, I love this course right here. Whether it fits your game or not, you seem to always have, you feel comfortable, feel at home at. How's that?
Torrey, Riviera, Muirfield, Memphis. My favorite courses we don't play anymore. They play a playoff event there now is Aronimink. We played there my rookie year. Man, that place is incredible. But that's kind of, if I had to give my favorite courses like non-major, that's what I would say. That's my group of courses that I think I like the best.
We kind of lost you there for a second. You said Torrey, Muirfield, Memphis. Where out?
Memphis, Muirfield, Riviera, and Aronimink.
I got you. Yeah. Is there any particular reason other than just good memories, or feels at home, or you just drive up and it just feels good when you're there?
No, there's some places where, I mean, a little bit of both. Past experience is one, and kind of going from there. But I think, it looks good to my eye, and but there's also courses that I love that I play horrible at. I think Quail Hollow is great, and I just cannot break an egg there. So if anyone's gambling on me, like, do not pick that course. That is not at the top of my list, but I think it's great. I think the golf course is super pure. I like the layout and everything. I just play like a dog every time I play there. So we're gonna sit that one out this year.
You gotta rest sometime, right? You gotta spend time with the kids. So.
Absolutely.
So as you know, we're a fantasy podcast. So we're gonna get into that a little bit. This past year, the PGA Tour officially partnered with Draftkings, and have you noticed maybe an uptick in fan interaction or viewership in general, or do you think it's good for the game?
I think it is good for the game. I think some of the live stuff that they're going to have opportunities is going to make it very interactive, and where people will watch golf more to try to understand truly what they're betting on, and it's just another opportunity to make golf kind of get it closer and closer to some of those mainstream sports. And we play a lot of events in a lot of cool places, and we get a chance for guys that truly people have never heard of to realize, man, these guys are truly the best players in the world, and get a chance to put them in front of a bunch of eyes they haven't had a chance to play in front of before.
Yeah, I've always wondered, like, how much noise is there on the social media behind the fantasy sports? Is there a lot of chipper on? Is there a lot of chatter?
Like, you missed this putt. It cost me this in fantasy. It's like, buddy, it cost me a lot more.
Yeah.
Or like, man, why did you not play this tournament? You're in my Draftkings. Or this is like, buddy, I don't make my schedule because you're Draftkings. But it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah. What about? I mean, you guys know what's going on out there as far as like odds to win and stuff like that. Is that being talked about at all?
Not really.
No.
I mean, the only way it comes talked about is, like a major or anything that Tiger's involved in or something like that. That's kind of it.
I got you. So we're big stats guys here on the show, and we break down every week, try to help people out with stats and fantasy sports and stuff. I'm going to give you an example of something that we would use. So we would say that Scott is most successful putting on Poana greens. Do you personally prefer Poana, or just seems to work out that way? or Bermuda or
I think I just have I have low expectations on Poan, and I get up there and try to get as comfortable as possible and roll it. I didn't grow up on Poan. I didn't grow up on anything. I think it's just more of a mental thing than anything, and kind of go out there. And it is weird. I won at Torrey, I had great finishes at Riviera, had great finishes at Pebble. Just kind of odd that I think it's more of just a mental approach than anything.
Okay. So do you look at, like, we're big into strokes gain statistics too? Or you all, do you personally like take caveats of stats and say this is what I need to work on? Is that part of the package?
Yeah, I actually made a few equipment changes this offseason. I had a stats guy kind of run through and kind of figured out where I could make the most bang for my buck, and then putting inside 10 feet and driving efficiency specifically on par fives, and just trying to understand and to be honest, like, it was a little bit of a wake up call, just because I thought that I do okay in this, and then you actually look at it. Numbers don't lie. And like driving efficiency on par fives, like based on my other driving accuracy, it's like it's nowhere near what it is throughout the rest of the golf courses, which is kind of maybe it's a strategy thing, maybe it's a shot choice, kind of whatever it is, and you start to see a little bit of trends here and there, and kind of how it affects everything.
Yeah, I felt like definitely, growing up, courses around here are a lot shorter, but I felt like every time you teed it up at a par five local course, it was like we're putting at eagle for you.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? There's so much of advantage there on driving efficiency on par fives.
Yeah, and a little bit like of the scoring holes and stuff, and just understanding like, you can make a golf course play so much shorter. And you think of, say, your average is 10 drivers a day. 10 yards, that's a 100-yard shorter golf course. That's 400 yards shorter over the course of 4 days. That's X amount of clubs. And just an opportunity to kind of get in your wheelhouse. Just understanding like, all right, this is truly where you're best at on tour. Let's try to get you there as much as you possibly can. And that's that, kind of 125 to 175 range. Like, or good ball striker, good iron player, and that's kind of my bread and butter. So as many opportunities as I can get myself there is where I need to try to, and kind of I had my career best scrambling of my in my career last year. Been working really hard on my short game, and to try to just give myself an opportunity to get it up around the greens on par fives as much as I possibly can, and utilize that short game to my advantage instead of driving the rough, hacking out, and having just a significantly further, approach out in the green and try to maximize my opportunities for birdies.
Yeah, I remember, from just watching the tournaments you've won, where you're on TV more. When you're talking about the irons as your bread and butter, you get hot. I just remember seeing, like, didn't matter if it was 7-iron, 3-iron, or wedge, it was 8 feet to 12 feet. It seemed like, whenever you're hot like that, and we want to see more of that. So,
hey, from your lips to God's ears, man. Let's go and make it happen.
That's right. That's right. So last week had a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, Darren Reese, on to talk a little bit about Tennessee golf, and he was not hesitant at all to throw your name out as supporting the junior golf program in Tennessee. We also had to show the clip of him hitting it 3 inches at the Kids Cup. He said he's never going to let you live that down for the rest of your life. And he said,
"No, we actually played a few weeks ago, and the fact that he hit that shot in front of all those people, and to watch him play a full 18 holes, it's just even more amazing. That's one of the best shots under pressure I've ever seen, whether on tour or not."
Yeah. Plus, coming right out of the seat right off the stands or whatever to not even expecting to hit a shot to hit it like that. It's a cool video. And he actually.
I will say this: not only did he beat me, he beat everybody. So it wasn't like it was just a him and I thing. Like, he beat everybody, but still to this day, one of the top pressure shots I've ever seen in my career.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So he said, whether it be the Kids Cup, your Scotty event, or the Kids Play Free, you're ready to throw down and get right in the middle of it. So what is it about growing the game, especially in junior golf, that gets you excited?
Tennessee golf in Knoxville gave me an incredible opportunity. I had some guys in Knoxville come around me, and give me a chance to do something I wouldn't do otherwise, and that's chase a dream and play the tour. And they just challenged me. Hey, if you make a run of this and are successful, we just ask you to give back to the game. That honestly, I say this in every interview. Golf's given me more than I ever deserve, and I want to try to give as many people an opportunity. And whether that's the Kids Play Free, and it's the first time they ever do it, or the Tennessee Junior Cup, which we're coming up on our 10th year, which kind of culminates the best junior players in the state, or we're doing junior match play next year, doing the Scotty, which is at Oak Ridge where I grew up, and a team 4-ball, and try to give kids an opportunity to do things that they don't traditionally get to do in junior golf. And honestly, man, it's something I get super excited about, and something that will continue to grow. And we have incredible partners all throughout the state, and WID and everyone at the Tennessee Golf Foundation has just been incredibly supportive and incredibly helpful to make the programs what they are today.
I love I wish we'd had more team competitions when we were younger. That would have been awesome to do. So, during the pandemic, you kind of helped organize with your local club a pro-am where it brought a few of you tour guys in, a bunch of wannabes, a bunch of never was beens, a bunch of just guys that love the game. And it was exciting getting everybody back together as like one big happy family again. Is that something that you would like to do more of in the future, as far as maybe like the Seminole Club does with like a pro member or something like that?
Yeah, but we need to make it like the redneck version. But that was great. We did it at Oak Ridge. Glenn did an awesome job. We had a bunch of teams, and I think it just goes to show, golf, there's a bunch of things that were incredibly effective and, detrimental throughout the whole pandemic. And, golf thrived. And, I play a lot of golf at Holston, and just seeing their tee sheet and kind of what they had to do to adjust and everything. And, just how many people just wanted to be out. And, thankfully golf was, kind of allowed throughout the whole process. And it was exciting to see. And I saw a bunch of names and faces I haven't seen in a long time. And it's great to see kind of everyone come together and get out there and play a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd been cooler if some of your other buddies could have came up, got a few more of y'all, because, those are like 4 guys locally that play. And but that was still a great time. And like I said, it was fun to see all the faces get together again and talk smack and have putting contests and all that. So,
Yeah,
well, I mean, like we gave us so much stuff about who you are and everything on here today. I can't help but thank you. And is there anything that we can do as I asked Darren the same question as far as citizens of Tennessee and want to support junior golf and things like that? Is there anything that we can do that you're behind that we could help further that at all by giving or volunteering or anything?
Yeah. The foundation's always looking for people ways to grow the game. Got a lot of cool things in the works for 2021. Some opportunities with Three Ridges and Parks and Rec in the county in Knoxville, and hopefully have some new exciting things to announce in the next few months as far as what's kind of the next progression. And Kids Play Free is obviously something we want to continue to grow throughout the state. And we've got our first, I guess, I don't know if you call it a satellite or an extension of, but it's going to Murfreesboro, and then kind of opportunity to where people kind of pick up on it and truly just hear a story and put a club in a kid's hand for the first time and have a chance to, whether they grow to play on tour or go, golf will teach you all about many different walks of life, no matter what level you're able to play it at. And it was a cool idea, and something that I was actually challenged by Ryan Greer when we were talking about all the different ways to kind of develop the game. He's like, man, you do amateur, you do pro, you do high level junior. Like, what do we do to make the kids play? And so basically we came up to it. It's time, cost, and availability, and just came up with a plan with the golf foundation. It's like, what if we just take all those away? And then that's how it all came. It's literally like a 5-minute conversation, and we kind of went from there. And there's a little bit of challenge from Ryan, who kind of does all the business stuff on the side of golf with me and everything. And it's been a huge asset, since, from the very day one. And it's been cool to kind of see that friendship and all that stuff as far as how he's helped me on and off the golf course. And but continue to grow that program. And support the Golf Foundation and Knox area junior golf as much as we possibly can.
Well, first and foremost, Scott, I've been following you since the Life in the Toaster blog days. So, I continue to follow you. We pull up the shot link and the tour trace or whatever that new thing they have now. We follow you. Everybody in Knoxville still wants to see you go out there and do good. And I'm a big golf nerd along with a huge food nerd. So your content is spot on line for me. Now, just getting in the gym, that's probably the next step. But and I appreciate you coming on. Anything else you want to say on the way out?
No, man, you're welcome to the gym anytime. We take you to play golf, cook you a nice steak, and get you in the gym. And that's kind of the things I'm interested in.
Oh, yeah, I would love to do a round of golf. We could film me playing golf and then trying to work out and then licking my wounds at the end of the night, right?
Yeah, we'd put a good steak in front of you, you'd be all right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, once again, man, I appreciate you coming on, and everybody you've listened to the Turn.
Already
Fantasy
hit
Golf
3
Podcast.
in the lake. It's gonna drive me. It's